Oh, there I am. Hey, guys. Welcome to the Massive Iron channel. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. I'm trying to figure out why YouTube dumped a bunch of comments when I was checking my internet. So it looks like YouTube may have dumped a bunch of the comments you guys posted before it starts. Let me just check to see if I can get that. Um, Get that figured out here. Let's see. How far do they go back? Let me just unpin this. Let's see. I don't know. It looks like we lost a ton of questions, which is too bad. Um, I don't really know what happened. It's a YouTube glitch. So just a heads up, any of you that posted questions prior to 10:51, YouTube just randomly deleted them. So that's beyond my control, guys. I really apologize. If you had a question up before then, if you wouldn't mind trying to post it up again, I'm just going to try to reset things a little bit. I'm not sure why YouTube hates us, but just the way it is. All right, guys, let's dive into things. Appreciate you guys joining me. Massive Iron Live. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Probably the longest running. I think it's the longest running live podcast thing in the history of the universe, something like that. And if it's not, I'm going to make that up and stick to it. If you guys are new here, don't hesitate to post up questions. There are no dumb questions, no stupid questions, just awkward questions and weird questions. But if you think it's been asked 1,000 times before, don't be shy. Just go ahead and post up your questions. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer everything. So don't feel like if it's been asked 1,000 times before, you can ask. So, yeah, I can't get those questions back. So I apologize. So any of you guys that posted, there were some good questions in the mix, and I was just checking to see if there's any way refreshing things. I got them back. So how are things going, guys? I've had a good week of training. My training has really been good the last 3 weeks, really solid. And feeling in a good place strength wise. Had some lower back issues just from returning to training. I was just pushing things a little bit, too hard. But other than that, I moved to the hex bar deadlift a little bit just to give my lower back a little bit of break. Penalties are doing good. About I'm hanging right around 315. Dumbbell rows, they have 150s. That's enough. Really, I mean, at some point, enough is really enough. I don't need to do circus acts anymore. I want to maintain and put on size. So that's that's that for me. I mean, you reach a certain point on some lifts where pushing, you have to really balance. You have to really ask yourself, is it worth pushing? Right? Is it worth the punishment? I have really been training hard. I've been training about 5, sometimes 6 days a week lately, tossing in a junk day. The issue I'm running into is workouts are running super long. Yesterday my bench press with all the warm-up sets, I do like 8 or 9 sets. And then I move on to like 2 or 3 sets of dumbbell rows, and then an iso hammer press or plate loaded chest press, and then a barrel press. And then by that time, I'm like an hour and 15 minutes in a workout, and I haven't even touched triceps yet. So I've been thinking about condensing my workouts a little bit more, just to kind of maybe do 2 sets of the big hitters and then volume on things that move around a little bit quicker, because I like to train, but I really, bench is falling into the old groove again for me where it's taken like 45 minutes to get through all the warm-up sets. And, it's like back in the day when I was training with more brevity, when I was running a lot, I just basically stick around 225 and do a lot of reps. And it was really easy, to jump in and out of sets. So anyway, guys, before we get started, just a reminder that what was I going to say? Just a reminder, your questions dropped if you posted before 10:50. Blame YouTube, not me. This happened once before, like a year ago. It's very frustrating, but not a lot I can do about it. So I apologize. So just a heads up, if you did post a question, I do not see it. There was a lot of questions in here from Tim that got knocked out. Before we start, guys, just a reminder, I do Q&As on Instagram a couple times a week. So please follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Watch for my Insta story Q&As. You can also slide into my DM on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you need coaching, I'm pretty full right now, but you can head over to superlivingtoday.com. There's always something coming up. Every couple of weeks, someone, has to move on or get a different job or, has to leave for personal reasons. I got clients right now that, there's always something going on with work. Some guys just hammered with work and they don't really have time to work out much. So I always got something going on. So if you're interested in coaching, just check out the coaching tab. It doesn't cost you anything to explore it. If you need a workout or apparel, head over to superlivingtoday.com. Check out the workouts and apparels I book. I have books, and I have some really good t-shirts. So if you haven't checked it out, I only make like $5 a shirt. I'm not trying to be a t-shirt company. I do it mostly for fun. But if you want some fun and cool gym gear, check that stuff out. I also have whey and creatine. Not trying to be a supplement company, but these are quality products. And if you want to put $5 into the pocket of a influencer, rather than one of these mega companies, I would appreciate your support. All right, let's dive into things. Happy Friday. It's pretty good weather here today. I want to say Dave Tate was doing a call for people to be on his Table Talk podcast, and the Massive Iron community really, really responded. And I think I got 30 people asking for me to be on. I appreciate you guys' support. I didn't hear from him, which is his right? I'm just a small fry in the lifting world and in the YouTube world, but that aside, I appreciate your guys' support and the fact that you want to be on there. So one more thing I forgot, Team Massive Iron. How can we forget Team Massive Iron? If you go to teammassiveiron.com, guys, we have one of the best lifting communities, if not the best lifting community on the internet, and that's not hype. If you're tired of Facebook, if you're tired of stupid, Facebook groups, or just being on these social media platforms, Team Massive Iron is a website that I run. And it's private, it's gated. We have chats, we have topics of the day, we have form checks. It's like micro coaching. It's the fee to get in is very, very, very minimal. But we put in kind of a gatekeeping fee to keep out the trolls and the riffraff. So if you want to escape social media and you need a little bit of extra motivation, need to ground yourself a little bit with lifting each day, you can't go wrong with teammassiveiron.com. All right, let's dive into things. Does it make any sense to dramatically change my program after I've run it for you? Dramatically? I mean, when you talk about changing your program dramatically, what you're looking at is like, I'm going to do what's been working okay for me, and I'm gonna do Mike Mentzer's heavy duty, or do German volume training, or do Smolov, or I'm going to really minimize things and do like a starting strength or Texas method or something. So that would be a dramatic shift. And not getting into the nuances of all these other programs, but that would be a dramatic shift. Does it make sense? Well, mentally, if you want to try something new, yes. I mean, any program out there that I talk about, I've probably run for at least a month, in my 38 years of lifting, just to play around to get personal experience. Programs I create, I usually run. I mean, when I say usually, there are some splits that I created that I know work that I don't run, like torso limbs. So it's not like I'm creating something scandalous that, oh my God, I haven't tested it in the gym. I'm a charlatan. But any major program like bulldozer training or bulldozer rest pause or anything like that, the 5, 10, 10, 20, those are all programs I run for extended periods of time. So anyway, mentally, if you need a change, you can try something. I mean, we have to frame any program we're going to be doing based on personal experience and what we've learned in the gym. So, you don't want to toss apart anything you've learned in the gym. If Pendley rows on 10 to 12 rep sets beat up your biceps, you don't want to jump to a program that has them in. But if you like your program and you need a break, that's fine. Just be reasonable. Don't do something that you really aren't motivated to do. If you want to try something and you're motivated to try something, make sure it's something you feel like you could give a good 3-month run at. Does that make sense? What was your motivation for starting the channel? It really was just a random decision. Just a random decision. And again, before I continue onward, guys, any question that was posted before 10:50, YouTube dropped. I have no idea why. YouTube is just a dumpster fire sometimes, so I apologize. So please post up those questions again. We lost a ton of good questions. I didn't really have a lot of. I didn't think through it. I didn't have a master plan. I was working as a machinist, and I would listen to sports radio. I mean, I'm in the middle of nowhere driving in Wisconsin. There's not a lot of radio stations. So this was back in the day before, smartphones. And obviously I didn't have a smart car, right? I had a beater. I had a 1994 Suzuki Swift that got like 50 miles of the gallon. It was a 2-seater, like fat man in a little car. That was me. But there wasn't very many radio stations in the middle of Wisconsin. You had like classic rock, and you had the Christian stations, and you had all the boring AM talk, talking to late night alien talk and all that kind of crap. So I would listen to sports radio. And on sports radio, one of the announcers mentioned, this was way back 2005, something called YouTube, where you could post your own videos and watch other people's videos. So that's when I initially heard about YouTube. And I think I started posting videos as early as 2007. Believe it or not, there was a channel where I posted 3 videos: bench press, squat, and deadlift, funnies, fails, and blunders. Okay. So I had a bench press, funnies, fails, and blunders, deadlift, funnies, fails, and blunders, and squat. This was around 2007, before everything was saturated, right? And I believe I had over 2 million views on my first 3 videos back then. But they eventually got taken down because somebody filed a claim because of the music in there. And I was just an ignorant dolt, right? I didn't know using somebody's music was that scandalous. So they eventually got taken down. But I had other channels where I'd post lifts and stuff like that. And I think, what year did I actually start? I actually started focused. Let me just pull it up for you guys. If you go all the way back to my early years, there was a few videos from a New Jersey meetup that I did with a bunch of people from Muscle and Brawn. This was 2011. And I'm just scrolling back, looking through my personal, a lot of lift videos here in 2011. I started uploading a lot of lift videos. I got my first competition deadlift uploaded. That's private in 2000. I got a lot of private videos on here just of my personal lifts. I'm trying to go back and find where my first Bearded Beast of Duloc lift was. We'll get there. Hold on. Man, I got so many unlisted lift videos in here. It's crazy. Between 2011 and 2012, Bearded Beast of Duloc #1 was December 21st, 2012. That's after like a year and a half of posting lift videos. My first video was deadlift. Where should your hips be positioned? 800 views, 3 whole comments. 3 whole comments. My second video was weight training and excuses. Bearded Beast of Duloc #2. And Bearded Beast of Duloc #3 was gain weight, 5 bulking foods for hard gainers and skinny guys. So I just started doing stuff back then for fun, but I'd run the Muscle and Brawn forum for about 5 years. And I was actually writing for Muscle and Strength at the time, and Female Muscle and other websites, Critical Bench. So I was writing full time. I was working full time in the industry, and I just really did it on a whim out of my basement. Speaking on a whim, I just married my wife on a whim. I'm like, she looks all right. She looks pretty good. I can't.
Maybe I did it on a whim.
Yeah. Maybe I. No,
Maybe yours was plain.
No, I'm not stupid.
Honey.
Look, if you can say a lot of things about me, but I'm not stupid. I looked at this sexy Australian. I said, I'm never going to do any better than that. That's like she's like a princess. And I'm okay. Everybody get their tongue out of my mouth. This is Buddy Boy. This is my boy. If you can't tell, Buddy Boy, what's going on, Buddy Boy? Oh, Buddy Boy.
I have the big old Bubsy. Oh, Snoopy, dude.
That's her. That's her sausage.
And
this
Snoopy
is
is a big old Snoopy.
Buddy Boy's my best Buddy Boy.
Snoopy's a big Snoopy.
Buddy Boy,
baby.
you're going to drop down.
Oh, he's a big Snoopy.
Whoa. This is Snoopy. Snoopy's a tank. Snoopy's the biggest wiener you'll ever see. He's really strong. He's really strong and fierce.
Hercules.
Right, Snoop?
But he's a handsome boy. He woos all the girls.
What's going on, Snoop?
He woos, and he's very
okay.
He kisses all the day.
Yes, he does. All right.
Yeah.
So what are you doing today?
I have a girl coming to. I had to fix her bathers. In 9 minutes.
We need her head down.
So you just have to take the boys just for like 20 minutes. Can you cope with babysitting?
Yeah, as long as they don't bark.
There's a black dog curly black dog next door.
Okay.
That's why they're barking for.
Just bring me an energy drink.
You know how they love the curly whirlies.
Yep. All right, let's get back into the fun.
Boys.
Come here, guys. Come here, Buddy Boy.
They think they're coming.
You better rush out. She got to lock him in here. She got an appointment. All right, guys, just a reminder, if your question posted before 10:50 it got bumped. Tim, I'm really sorry all your questions got bumped. YouTube hates me, or YouTube hates itself. How good is resting heart rate as a measure of overall health? Well, I don't, I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert in ideal resting heart rates, but I can tell you one of my areas of focus when I'm lifting and trail running is trying to keep my heart rate under control. I think this is essential, especially during long, hard workouts. Trail running, believe it or not, you don't run up a hill. Most runners don't run up hills. Trying to keep that heart rate down, trying to keep it in control. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert at ideal resting heart rates and all that kind of stuff. But I will say, learning to control your heart rate during your workouts and your runs or whatever physical activity you do, I found that to be beneficial. And guys, I want to point out something here when it comes to questions like this. There are a lot of influencers, YouTubers, YouTube celeries. When I say celeries, it's a word of mocking the celebrityism of being a YouTuber. But you'll ask them questions, and I'm not trying to act holier than thou. I'm just trying to be real with here and give you guys some insight. You'll ask them a question, and if it's not their specialty, they're going to blow, smoke up your backside and give you some answer, like because they want to be an expert. I'm never going to pretend to be an expert on something I really, know nothing about. I don't have a number in my head of ideal resting heart rate. It's not something I think about. It's not something I done articles or edited articles that have talked about these topics over the years. Absolutely. But I've forgotten more stuff than I've learned. And, I just want to let you know it's not my area of specialty, and I'm never going to try to lie or pretend to you guys, that I know something about something I really don't. Big Bob Fish. My sinuses are a little screwed, I'll tell you that. Is there a point in time you find clients need to switch from deadlifting every week? I've always advocated personally, as a coach, the benefit of only pulling from the floor every other week. But you also need, guys that are new to the deadlift that are working on their form need a repetition and practice. So with a lot of my lifters, we might do threes, which are all out sets 1 week, and tens, which are more singles and doubles, 10-minute block, every other week. So a lot of them do some form of altering where we're not pulling for max safe reps. This is a highly personal thing, really. I don't force it on anyone. I don't have a blanket, I don't have a blanket approach for everyone. The problem with a deadlift is there's so much variation when it comes to where they're training, what they can train with, like equipment wise. So if we wanted to alternate the deadlift, the simplest form would be conventional and sumo, right? You get to save a little bit on your lower back, but a lot of people don't like sumo. Then you have, you could do conventional and hex bar. Well, what are you chewing on? Yeah, you have a conventional and hex bar. And a lot of guys don't have access to hex bar. If they do, if they want to alternate, we could. Rack pulls, block pulls are a hard one. I really don't want people damaging bars in commercial gyms. Alternating between those two is probably your best option. I will not lie. When I was younger, and I say younger, 10 years ago, I was doing block pulls in gyms and tearing up bars, and I was just vaporous. I was an idiot. I wasn't thinking about it. And then, then it dawned on me, hey, you're beating up bars in these gyms. That's not a good thing to do. So it's hard to program in block pulls and rack pulls without the right equipment. So, that's an option that can or can't be off the table. So you're really kind of in that world. It's very highly personal. Where does a lifter have good form? What are they interested in? What are their goals? So no, there's no general, like advocacy one way or the other. And Mark says he's listening to me at 2 times speed. I appreciate you guys tuning in, just looking at Team Massive. Stan, I donated money to your documentary. Where can I see it? Stan, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not finished yet. It's about halfway done, and I've been editing it in my free time. I'm going to be honest with you guys as you can. That was a like a funded project, and that's always a gamble. Stan, if you email me, I can give you the first half of the documentary. It's not officially released, but the pandemic hit, and this is my side of the story. My filmmaker in England had money to fly over, and he couldn't fly over. Most of that money was put in his plane tickets to fly over and to film the rest. Well, the run got shut down, and he already had tickets. I've asked him several times to refund the money for tickets, and he keeps blowing me off. So basically, the filmmaker spent the money on tickets, and it's probably gone now. He probably used it for different tickets, and I don't really have any avenue to get that money back. But I'm not making excuses. I take this very seriously. Anybody that donated money to that project, and I would do anything I could to make up any of your donations. We're still working on it. I'm still working on it the best I can. I have the first half backed up right here in my desk, and I have the first half done if you want to see it, so you can email me. Do you think the Arnold split? No, there's no better. Brendan, there's no better. There's no better split. Splits, there's no one split that's better than another split. There's no split that's going to give you better aesthetics. That's not a thing. That's a fairy tale. That's not reality. That's not the way training works. Splits don't really matter. How we work splits matters. It's like if you take a quality program, and let's kind of frame this in like a muscle car, right? If you took the 10 best muscle cars in the world under 100,000, 110,000, like a BMW competition, and like a Jaguar F-Type, just cars that had some muscle and were sporty, which one's going to be better, right? Well, they're all going to be fast, and they're all going to be beefy, and they're all going to be quality. And in some ways, how you drive them is going to impact things, but they're all well equipped to get the job done. That's the same thing with a quality split. They're all well equipped to get the job done. No split is better. The whole concept of better is rooted in the cancer of optimalism. Which is more optimal? It doesn't work like that, right? Optimal in this case is a lie. It's a sham. It's a distraction, a moneymaker for your influencer. Find out why the push-pull legs is better choice than the Arnold. No, it's not. It's not. Splits do not matter. I made excuse my language, but I made a video way back when called "Fuck Your Program." To this day, sadly, there's 10% of knuckleheads that don't understand the point. You said workouts don't matter, and you're putting on a new workout split, right? Excuse my silly language. Like, you said they don't matter, and you put on a new workout split. You're a hypocrite. No, like that doesn't mean we can't have choices. Like wake up. Don't you just want to smack some people sometime? Like you're so dense. How do you change a fucking light bulb? Seriously, but programs don't matter, and that means we can't have options. We should just have one. No, that's not the logic here. What it means is if you have a quality selection, it doesn't matter which program you use. The point of the Fuck Your Program rant was that when people switch to a program and think it's going to be magical, I'm going to switch to this and it's going to be a game changer, or this and it's going to be a game changer, or this, or this, or this. It's a lie, right? Oh, sure, you might like that program more and you might be more motivated to run that program, and that is a good thing. But there is no better program. There's no better program, a reasonable split. It's just a tool. A split does not drive progress. It does not drive results. It's just a framework. A framework has no power, okay, beyond the power to motivate you to train hard, right? The power is in hard training. The power is in consistent training. The power is in a good exercise selection and not shying away from big, impactful exercises. The power is in finding exercises that allow for progression, a good quality selection that allow for progression. The power is in nailing your nutrition. The power is in honing, refining your form. That's the power, right? Splits do not matter. Splits don't give you aesthetics, right? It's like saying I bought a nice, sexy shirt and that's going to give me a better sex life, right? No, it's just a fucking shirt, right? You might look pimp in it or whatever. You might look like a big pimp daddy. You might look sexy AF, but it's just a damn shirt. It's just a split. So no split gives you better aesthetics. William, what's going on? William, thanks for joining in. And guys, just a reminder, any questions posted before 10:50, YouTube 8, so please post them up again. And I sincerely apologize for that. Where we at? LV King. Thoughts on Rich Piana? I personally find him motivating to make sure I eat. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, having been in the industry, I've had a lot of stories of people that were with Rich firsthand, but I don't know which are true and which are false. I really don't, I don't even want to speculate. It's not fair. It doesn't honor this man. People are very complex individuals, and they can do a lot of good and then still have their struggles. So I'm sure he had a share of struggles. I didn't ever particularly find, the synthol muscle-y thing motivating. That's just my personal opinion. I don't hate on anybody else that finds motivation in, maybe you find motivation in his words or his workouts. It's up to you. I don't know what he emphasized as far as eating. I just was never a fan enough to follow. So if he emphasized eating real food and enough food to grow, that's good. That's a good thing. Any thoughts on VO2 Max as an indicator? Not, I consider this, there's too many factors involved in longevity, right? Like VO2 Max is, like one dot on a big chart. It's like one dot in the sky. There are too many other factors. You can, what you eat, frequency of alcohol, sleep, stress. There's just so many things going on in that to frame it as an indicator. Could it be one minor indicator in a pile of 200 for longevity? Absolutely. But it's probably no different than elevating splits as God and then forgetting the other 100 exercises you need to do. You could do without it and still live long. Most people I know that I've seen lived 80 or 90 or beyond in my personal life, just people you meet, people I know, they didn't have a VO2 max of shit. That's just being real, man. I mean, most athletes I know that were, I don't know many athletes that live long personally. And I'm not saying athletes don't live long, but I'm just saying most of the people I know that have lived long health lives have just kind of, been pretty moderate their whole life. They're relatively, not lean, but not obese. And they have fun. They moderate. They're not high stress. They're very mobile, agile. They're not beating themselves up. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple across the street from where we used to own our business, big prominent people in our city, and they're in their late 70s and they're very functional. They still run their businesses. The man's probably 160 at 5'10". The woman's like 115. They just function like we do. They haven't lost anything. They've taken care of themselves. Most people I know that are very functional, 75 beyond, aren't athletes or aren't specifically hardcore athletes. They're just like normal people that might have a minor degree of exercise in their life.
Okay.
All done, or you got more coming?
No, I just for one, but I know they're gonna go crazy when I walk out the door.
So they're asking about VO2 Max as an indicator for longevity, and I said most of the people I know that are very in good health in their 70s and 80s aren't super athletes like Bill and Jane. They're just normal people who live moderate lives and took care of themselves.
Yeah, I think because they don't go crazy. Like, they do exercise probably 3 times a week, and
it's like swimming and riding your bike 20 minutes.
He does swimming. He'll I seen Bill at the Y, and he says he goes swimming. Jane just does walking, but I think they're kind of old fashioned, so they probably eat more.
But like when you look at
natural foods, not pizzas and burgers and things.
When you look at people that lived to 70s and 80s, like even athletic people, like Jack LaLanne, he was very moderate, not aggressive. I'm not saying lifting is bad, and I'm not saying aggressive running, ultra running is bad by any means, but most of the people I know that live long lives are pretty moderate.
I think Bill says that he does go to the senior gym and he will do some workouts and stuff like that, but they kind of go on the machines and just lift normal. Have you ever seen the oldies in the gym where they'll just lift low weights and they'll just do the machines and they come like 3 times a week and do that?
You know what I notice about these people is that overall they just seem very well balanced in all aspects of their life in general.
I think because most of the time they will probably more eat meat and vegetables, a sandwich, more cereals and fruits for breakfast, but then they will go out and eat like a dinner probably once a week or something that's not good for them. And Bill does tell me, we go down to the ice cream shop and they have an ice cream, but it's not like every day kind of thing.
They're very balanced. It's not like they're hyper restrictive, but they're also mentally balanced. Most of the people I know that are very physically and mentally functional after 70 seem just in a really good place of, stress and balance. They don't seem uptight. They don't seem strung really tightly. They just seem in a better place, a more neutral place mentally and physically.
And I think that's important to look at people who are older and what they do, because they also work. Like, he works only part-time as a lawyer, and she manages all the properties, but she has other people managing them too. But like you said, they're never stressed or anything. They just are pretty laid back.
And, talking about VO2 Max as an indicator for longevity, I'm 55 and I know a lot of people that have passed on just in the last 5 years. And either there's 2 camps. Either some of them have been larger guys but athletic, and some of them are just people that don't take care of themselves or had random issues come up, like cancer or something.
I've known the healthiest people who have done running and everything, and they've been 50. And I remember this lady, she was overweight, and her husband was really fit, and she was in a registered nurse, and she came in and she said, my husband just died of a heart attack randomly, because you can't pick that random stuff. And she said he ran like every day. He did jogging. He was really fit, healthy weight, and he just died.
You want an indicate, like, I'm not going to go out and invest in like training my VO2 Max. So hopefully, like that involves a lot of time. The time we went and ultra ran like 10 hours a week, we can't begin to express what a time investment that was, and how it just chewed up your day. And, is that going to add years onto our life? Who knows? But
I don't think so.
It took a lot of time out of our life. Would you ever do that again?
No, because it's not realistic to do long term, and I feel like it wrecks you. Okay, you may be a bit fitter, but everything else is not happening right, and things are deteriorating, and you're exhausted mentally and physically for that one thing.
I don't regret any of our time running. It was a great experience, and we had just an endless amount of amazing adventures and experiences. But the only way I would ever do it hardcore again is if you were not here on this planet and I had nothing fucking else to do.
Well,
right?
I get that because, like, what do you do? Like, I keep myself like gym, work, dance, and then if I was alone, I think I would add in either the theater work and something like that, because you need extra things to do.
All right, I'm gonna get back to YouTube.
Because all these boys are like crazy.
All right, I gotta get back in focus.
Oh, sorry, Becca.
Thank you.
I forgot you drank.
That's all right.
I have to bring.
All right, I gotta get back.
Okay. Not taking a bar.
All right. Good morning. Just getting some overhead press working. I know it's completely arbitrary. That's a pretty good standard. I mean, it sounds silly, but I like doing 20 reppers. I like seeing what I can do with 20s. On some lifts, not on like barbell rows. Barbell rows are way too, dumbbell rows, yes. Overhead, yes. Bench, yes. There's just some lifts I really like seeing what I can do on 20s. Almost more than I care about my 1 rep max. With a seated dumbbell overhead press, is it okay to have your scapula only in connection with the bench? Don't overthink this. Having a little bit of back arch to service a good natural leverage position is fine, but don't overthink this. Like, sometimes your seat is too upright and you have to arch your back a little bit more to improve your leverage or pressing position. That's fine. But don't overthink this. None of this stuff matters at all. It's like, analyzing the chair you sit in to play, PS5 or Xbox. If it's comfortable for you, that's all that matters. But it has no impact on muscle building at all. You just want a good leverage position. You don't want to be too upright when you're doing your pressing, because then the weight is more forward. So to really balance your pressing, you need to be back a little bit so the weight's closer to the center of your body. Not too far, but like 70 degrees is a good starting point. If you have a seat or a chair that's upright, you might have to push. I have to push my butt forward a little bit or arch a little bit so I can have a better pressing feel. Rico, how's it going, Rico? Stan, when you move to Scotland, I'll come and stalk you. If I move to Scotland, I'm inviting all you bastards over, and you're going to bring beer. Then we'll work out and smash beer PRs. We'll live like the Arnold in the golden days. Mark, what's up, Mark? Raphael, good morning. Howie, any good app for graphing weight over time? Let's see. I use a Renfro scale, and it graphs weight over time. I don't know if MyFitnessPal graphs weight over time, but there's got to be plenty of apps out there. I don't know. I use Trainerize for clients, and that graphs weight over time. And there's a lot of training apps like that out there. So I would just do research. If anybody knows any drop them in the comments section. I'd be happy to pass them along. So let's see. Where are we at? We got a lot of questions, so keep them coming, guys. Hopefully not a repeat. What do you think about doing 2 sets of neutral grip pull-ups and then add weight? I'm nothing against that, but I will say if you struggle with pull-ups, you're probably best to get 10s or 12s before adding weight. And then once you can do 10 to 12s, body weight, then if you want to drop to 6 and 8 and start adding weight, I'm okay. I would get proficient at body weight before you start adding weight, because you have to develop a reasonable degree of proficiency before you start adding resistance. Like, it would be the same as I'm struggling on push-ups, but I'm going to add weight when I get to 6, right? Like, let's slow, as Mom used to say, let's slow the horses a little bit. Rene Descartes, let's not put the cart before the horse, right? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of slow down a little bit. That's my opinion. Huge mental PR today after months of grinding dips. Was able to add an additional 5 pounds. Nice work. Body weights work. One thing I will say is, I think, and this is a generalization, so you guys can, tell me if you think I'm crazy or not. But I think almost more than any other lifts, body weight stuff can really be hit or miss. Meaning, there are a lot of guys that really struggle with it. This could be due to weight or leverages or whatever, that really struggle with dips and pull-ups that are really good with other lifts, right? And then there are guys on the other end of the spectrum that can just go forever. And then I think the middle ground is actually smaller proportionately. I'm not saying it's small. I'm saying the middle ground is smaller proportionately compared to like the middle ground in bench, right? On bench, you just don't have a lot of guys that just absolutely struggle and can't get past 95 pounds, right? So body weight tends to be like there's a larger pool of people that struggle, for various reasons. So it can be harder to move up and progress on body weight stuff than on other lifts. That's my opinion for many people, not for all. We're not generalizing, but for many people. Great to see an influx of new members on the Team Massive. Anything in particular driving the high numbers? It just comes and goes, really. I did do a contest on Instagram, gave out a membership, and lately I've included I've been doing on any of my videos, if you post a comment, you get a chance to win something. So I've been doing that as well, and I've been offering a Team Massive membership in that mix, and I've been offering Team Massive memberships in this mix. So as part of the prizes, for people that post here or post on Instagram or post on my daily videos, I've been offering it as an option, where I hadn't been doing that in the past. Can you explain the squat monthly challenge, the 6x6 or 8x8? We have a challenge in the Team Massive group, and basically it's to do a 6x6 or 8x8, which is basically a cluster set for squats, where you do 60 to upwards of 90 seconds of rest between. It's more just a mentally challenging thing. You want to start pretty moderate weight. When you do a 10x10 on squats, you're probably going to be a good place to start is probably around 57.5% of your 1 rep max. 8x8, it might be around 60 to 62.5. 6x6, maybe 65, 67.5% of your 1 rep max. But be super careful. This can be a little bit more punishing than you think. It's basically you do a set, rack for 60 to 90 seconds, do another set, and drive on. Does it matter which exercises we do first? Yes, in most cases, it does matter. Not all cases. I mean, if you're going to do deadlifts on back day or deadlifts on any day, you probably want to do deadlifts first. You don't want to enter a deadlift with a fatigue traps or biceps or anything. Number one, you're going to increase injury risk. Number two, if you enter deadlifts with any degree of lat or upper back fatigue, there's a chance your central nervous system will shut down that lift a little bit to protect your spine, a little bit. So you could do deadlifts at the end of your workout, but you would have to lighten the load a little bit and acclimate. And so exercise choice and order matters, but it matters in the bigger picture of the program. So there's rules, and there's rules you can break, but it all has to make sense in the context of the program. Does that make sense? Like, can you dumbbell bench before barbell bench? Of course. Could you do dumbbell flies before bench? Of course. Do you have to adjust? Pay attention when you do a lighter exercise before a bigger exercise? Yes, because there might be some form of fatigue. Now, the lighter exercise you do, the less likely there is going to be any fatigue. Like yesterday, I did bench first, and I was toast. The gym was hot. And on dumbbell bench, I lost 3 reps on my first set of dumbbell bench. 115s last week, I did 14. This week, I only did 11. I felt flat. I felt tired. So the first exercise is always going to impact the next exercise. To what degree depends on the impactfulness of the first exercise. So whatever we do, we always have to pay attention. But could you do something before squats, like leg press, like leg extensions? Yeah, you absolutely can, but you're going to have to adjust, and you're going to have to be smart. Do I want to be fatigued? You have to ask yourself this question. Headed into squats, if my squat form is not great, and it might increase the pressure put on my lower back due to fatigue. These are all questions we have to ask ourselves. Does that make sense? Will you be our Christmas tree? I'll be the light of the world, whatever you want. I'm a la carte. I'll be a schmuck. I'll be an ignorant guy on YouTube that doesn't know what he's talking about. I'll let my milkshake bring all the girls to the yard, whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. It's your world. Right. Ho, ho, jingle bells. As long as I can, as long as you don't put mistletoe over the top of my head. I don't want you guys anywhere near me. You're all ugly bastards. If you're not Team Massive, you're not optimal. That is a fact. TeamMassiveIron.com. Speaking of lower back pain, I have chronic and it sets me back. Yeah, and you're going to have to moderate things. I was actually thinking about a video this week. You know, like guys like Athlete Next, they can put out a video on lower back issues and get like 600,000 viewers. Me, if I put out a video on lower back, I'd probably get like 500, right? But there are things you can do, like if you run into lower back issues, less weight on squats and deads, or hex instead of deads, or rack pulls instead of deads. Leg press can beat up the lower back in some cases. RDLs are a really tough lift on the lower back, as can be barbell rows and dumbbell rows. So those are the big hitters when it comes to lower back work. A lot of times guys will have a lower back that's taking a beating and think they want to add in lower back work to strengthen it. I think that's backwards. I think we want to remove volume on exercises that impact our lower back, work on form, maybe drop the weight a little bit until we give that lower back time to strengthen. Rolf, what's going on? Have a great weekend. Thank you, sir. I keep hearing that age is overstated as a cause of diminishing athletic performance. I don't know what pro athletes are breaking down at 30. What I'll say, like pro athletes, it depends on the sport. There's a difference between doing what we're doing, recreational lifting for muscle building, recreational running, recreational fitness. That's not a negative when I say recreational. It means, we're not pushing the limits. We might be training hard. I train hard. But there is a difference between that and training for maximum strength, training for ultra running. Pro athletes take a lot of physical punishment. And the key here is pro athlete. A pro athlete has a super high degree of unpredictable circumstances, right? Depending on the sport, obviously, whether it's soccer or football, rugby, NFL, pro basketball, baseball, whatever the case may be, professional athletes have a super high degree of unpredictability when playing their sport, not practicing their sport. That unpredictability is going to highly increase injury risk. So in lifting, we want to train smart. You train smart and you compete dangerous, right? And that kind of, when I say dangerous, not reckless, but you train smart so you can continue to train. That's the difference between us and a pro athlete. Does that make sense? 90 minutes plus workouts are bad in the summer. I'm over it myself. I've been working out 5 to 6 days a week. And yesterday I got to the gym and they had the bay door open. And it's like, yes, great. It's 93 degrees outside, and now we're in a boxed-in area with no airflow. And I'm doing a 90-minute workout in that heat. I can do it. I can hang. I'm not doing the boo-boo baby thing. But do you think I wouldn't rather work out in a little bit of AC? I'm not a dummy like Fred Sanford. I'm not a dummy. You dummy. Are rows that are any rows that are rear delt specific? All rows hammer your rear delts. It's like all presses hammer your front delts. It's an inescapable reality. I would wager, and I'm just pulling this out of my butt, but I'm sure it's accurate enough that 70, 80, 90% of your rear delt size is going to be dependent on your rowing and pulling. If you're dumbbell rowing, driving your elbow back, your rear delt's working. I can feel it, all right, along with my lat. It's no different than doing a rear delt fly. You just focus on the rear delt more than the lat using a lighter weight. Not a fan. I don't like work like that. I don't believe it's smart. I don't believe it's a good call. I want to work things fresh. The only time I personally believe in supersets is when they're for the same area. I do not like to be fatigued mentally, physically, or from a cardiovascular standpoint, even to a minor degree, and jump to a muscle group where I can't, to ascend on a muscle group that's differing where I can't give it my all. If you want to do these, great. I will stand firm and say I do not believe in them, and I will never allow them in the massive iron world. because any tool can be useful. I'm not saying it can't be useful. I just believe there are endless other ways that are smarter choices in this. And when we frame it like that, are there better ways to do it? Yes, much better ways to do it. So why wouldn't we do it a much better way? Mark, that's a long time. Sorry, Mark, not sure what you're referencing. No, not doing biceps after bench for the same reason I just stressed. Much better ways to do it. I know this is going to ruffle some people's feathers, but I consider that stupid. I consider that in all the ways we can possibly train, I consider this one of the silliest, right? It's more like conditioning work. I know you might get good feeling, you might not be cardiovascularly stressed and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I didn't say it couldn't work. I just think with all the different things we could do in a gym, I just don't think that's the smartest thing, the smartest card to play. Thank you for everything you do. Much appreciated. Thank you. How long does it take on a massive bulk for the weight to establish, and can I increase the calories or not? Well, when you're kind of entering your first bulk, you want to have like 5 days where you are eating around maintenance to see what the scale is doing. That's just kind of a feeler day. And from there, you adjust. You can adjust, or if you're not certain, we want to be very conservative with our adjustments, right? So you want to be very, very conservative and not quick to add calories. But if it's not doing anything after 5 days, yeah, then you can add like 200 calories. If the weight's slightly moving up, we can give it 2 or 3 more days or another week. We want to be slow to gain calories so we don't wake up and find out we're gaining 3 or 4 pounds in 2 weeks. Does that make sense? What do you think of doing 2 sets per exercise? I have a program called Massive Mass that does this, where there's 2 exercises. How many exercises you do how many sets you do per exercise doesn't matter. We have to look at weekly volume of sets. That's really the cornerstone of our focus. Power condition, food. Barry, do you ever take time off from training other than for sickness? No. Well, if you feel run down, if I feel run down, I'm going to take an extra day. Like I felt run down on Wednesday, so I took an extra day. Yesterday's chest workout beat the living crap out of me. I've been going hard for like 3 months, and I feel a little bit beat up in my shoulders right now. So I'm taking today off and doing back tomorrow. So yeah, absolutely. I keep that very, very intuitive. So yeah, that's a good way to do things. And let's see. Have you ever drunk milk straight from a cow? No, thank you. Not from a bull either. Nice try. So let's see. Nice try. Funny. Where are we at? Oh, here we go. Steel Rat. Sorry, I lost track of the comments. Does it make sense to have an optional extra junk day? Like some weeks I might have it. Yeah, you can. Like I do an optional junk day on typically Saturday where I'll add in extra tricep or bicep work, extra rear delt work, extra trap work, extra calf work, extra ab work. It's stuff I don't normally fit in during a week. So normally it's not going to be in my program. And if I add it in, it's not going to impact my recovery. So yeah, you want to, if you're going to have a junk day, you probably want to have it something you do at least every other week. You don't want to like do calf raises and then come back to them 5 days later, right? It really doesn't make a lot of sense because you're not going to get a lot of value out of it. But a junk day every other week at minimum, works. So Super obinatory. Why do you mess with big YouTube influencers? Only money matters there. I don't really mess with anybody. I just find some guys funny. But guys like Athlete X waste people's time, and I take that seriously. I find things funny. Right, yesterday's video, I found this clip on training is like I find it funny where everything's killing gains. I find it entertaining. That's just my personal sense of humor. Is that messing with them? I don't know. That's for you guys to worry about. This is what I do for a living. Money matters to me. You guys matter to me. But you guys, I'm not manipulating you or wasting your time to bring in clients. I want help people, right? What we get into with some of these influencers is when they start to waste your time, then we have an issue. Influencers, YouTubers, then we have an issue when they start wasting your time. Because the biggest crime you can do in fitness or in life is waste somebody's time. So if somebody's going to waste time, I'm going to call it out. That's not messing with anybody. Like, I'm not trying to pick a feud with somebody. But if they're going to, mess with your time, I'm going to let you know. Do I think Athlete X is one of the biggest? Absolutely. Do I think occasionally he has some good information? Absolutely. But I'm not going to be shy with my opinion. He's not shy with his opinion. Some of these channels, like Greg Doucette, all they do is share their opinion. So sometimes people get upset if I if I mention somebody. Why don't you stick to content? Well, you know what? Look, I've been doing YouTube and free content for a long, long time. Since 2007, I started doing Muscle and Brawn. I've answered endless forum questions. I have Team Massive. I answer endless questions there. I answer endless questions on Instagram. I answer endless questions via DM for free outside of my client work. So occasionally, once a month, I'll mention another YouTuber or share an opinion on something. And when I do, invariably, I get 2 to 3 commenters that will say, stick to giving information. Well, I'm going to say that 99.9999% of everything I do is sticking to information. And if I occasionally want to crack a joke, right, about Athlete X, if someone finds that to be offensive in the sea of all the free information I do for folks, then it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me in the least. If somebody wants to have an opinion on who I should be, they can go fuck themselves. And I don't mean that, like, I'm not telling everybody to go fuck themselves, but if somebody wants me never to crack a joke, never to make an Athlete X joke, you waste somebody's time. I'll tell you what I think about the time waster. That's just the way it's going to be. What do you guys want? You want the truth? Or do you want more influencer bullshit, right? So 99.99% of what I give to folks is answering questions for free because I care about you guys. And I make a living doing what I do, but my integrity matters to me. You guys have a right to judge what you think my integrity is. You're free to judge. You're free to form an opinion on me. You're free to do that. And that's your right. And I'm 100% behind your right to form an opinion on me. But my integrity matters to me. Am I a perfect human being? No, absolutely not. I've never been a perfect human being. I'll be the first to admit my flaws. I wake up every day and I'm trying to work on everything I do. I'm trying to be better at delivering information. I'm trying to be, a better human being every day. I'm on the last act of my life, and people matter to me. They do. It's not a slogan. So what I do and how I deliver things matter. I'm my hardest critic. When I put out something that I shouldn't have put out, I regret it. I try to learn from it. And when, in this sea, when you're somehow find yourself in the public eye and everybody's combing through every word you say, I'm not like, poor me. It's an honor. But I try to watch it closely despite all the times I mess up. I want to communicate better. I want to communicate more clearly. But, when I started this channel, I was working in the industry. I had established a pretty big website with Muscle and Brawn. And I had a good job in this industry. I was living the dream. But I just kind of started a YouTube channel for fun. And whenever I mentioned somebody else's name, there was always a bunch of people that would go, clout chaser, or you're just doing it for the views, right? Well, number one, everybody on YouTube does everything for the views. But, like I get the same number of views on my YouTube channel now that I did like 7 years ago. YouTube doesn't make me money. Coaching makes me money. So, it's actually like when I make a video about Athlete X, I think it actually does worse, right? So it's not like I put out a video on Athlete X to make money. That's some stupid parroted, nonsense that gets tossed around by mindless drones. But anyway, you big YouTuber influencers, look, I don't give a fuck what their subscriber base is. I'm a man, you're a man. I'm a man, you're a woman. I'm a man, you're non-binary, whatever the hell you are, right? I don't give a fuck what your numbers are. I don't give a fuck what you make, right? All I care about is taking care of my business, being the best person I can be. And if somebody thinks I should shy away from criticizing somebody with bigger numbers, I don't give a fuck about their numbers. That's not being disrespectful. There are better ways to define human beings, their quality of information. There are many people that want mass-produced bullshit. And you can gain a lot of following on YouTube with mass-produced bullshit taking your shirt off. And, God bless them. I'm not bitter. I know the formula. That doesn't make their information better. So at the end of the day, information is information. And you guys can do with it what you want. You're free to do with it what you want. You can go over to Athlete X and follow his latest, greatest 8-minute ultimate chest workout with the only 2 chest exercises that matter. Or you can come here and I'll give you the real fucking story. If I were to put $1 in an influencer's pocket, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Will I have big shoulders if I dumbbell seated? Brendan, I'm going to be polite, Brendan, but you ask me like these types of questions like 100 times a week. If you get big and strong on everything and you use good control, you're going to get big. Yes, absolutely. What is your personal thoughts on the Arnold split? Brendan, it's just a split. It's not popular. It's not popular at all. I don't see many people using it. It's as popular as it's ever been. And that's a low degree of popularity. It's just a split. Harut, how's it going, Harut? I've tracked fluid intake. I've never tracked fluid intake, but I've done so today out of curiosity. I would have to, let me think through this, okay? Like there's been times when I worked in the heat where I would drink, 150 gallons. You're drinking 256 ounces of liquid in a day? Is that right? 2 gallons. 1 gallon is 120, 256 ounces. Now, I'm not saying this to be rude, but do you have a hose attached to your penis? Because I would be getting 20,000 steps going to the bathroom. That sounds super excessive. Like when I worked in the heat, when I was a machinist, I also did some woodworking where I worked in a shop where there was no AC. I can remember popping 150, 180. But, dude, you got to be careful with that, especially if you got to be getting your sodium in. I mean, that's super hydrated. That sounds super excessive. I'm no hydration expert, but man, off the cuff, that sounds super excessive. How can you even do that without living in the bathroom? You know, there are some negative health consequences from drinking too much water and not having enough electrolytes in your system. I'm not going to pretend like an expert, but I'm just giving you my knee-jerk reaction. That's a lot of agua. That's 256 ounces. Like, where am I at? I'm probably at like 100, 120 a day. Just by default. My wife probably drinks a little bit more, like 150, but 250, man, that just sounds crazy. Stein, how's it going? Amanda P., how to fix it when one foot is slightly back more than the other during squats? You move it, and I'm not being dismissive, but Amanda, one of the biggest things I see is people will step back during squats and they'll never glance to check their feet. You have to glance to check your feet every set before you do your first rep. That's the solution. Have you ever considered going? No, not a chance, man. I'm not Donald Trump and I'm not Athlete X, but all my years in this industry have given me an opportunity to make a good middle class income coaching. Ain't no way I'd ever go back to that. Ain't no way. Like, probably 30% of my income comes from workout PDFs. I get a stream of, sales in each day from all my different workouts, random stuff. And I don't know, I sell I'd probably give away 30 t-shirts a month and sell like 5. So it's not like I'm making money on t-shirts. Protein and whey, I probably sell like 5 of each a month. Not a lot. I basically keep them up so I can use them, and if anybody else wants them, they can. Coaching is my bread and butter. YouTube, I make nickels and dimes, really. I'm not complaining about any income, but I'm not a big YouTuber. If I get 10,000 views on a video, it's like a miracle. I don't chase views. I don't care about views. My philosophy on YouTube is to put out the best information I can. If people find that information valuable, then we have a connection point and I'm helping someone. If they don't, they're probably finding the same information from another influencer that communicates it to them better. It's a better fit for them. So YouTube views, I've been doing YouTube for 12 years. My views are the same. 2,000 to maybe 8,000 if I'm lucky. They've been the same for 10 years. They aren't going anywhere. But between all that stuff and coaching, I'd never go back. This is what I want to die doing. This is my love. This is my calling. And if one day you guys wake up and think I'm not worth the time anymore, then I'll just go be a people greeter at Walmart. Right? What the hell are you doing here? John, for a beginner, what do you recommend for increasing weight? I recommend Since you're not a novice and you have good form, using my protocols like my threes or my last set max reps, you can find my progression approaches on there's a progression approach, a workout where I give them for free on here, but threes or last set max reps are a good place to start. Big Tim, sorry your questions got wiped away from YouTube. Just a reminder, guys, we're like an hour and 20 minutes in. I will keep going as long as you guys have as long as you guys have questions. So keep them coming. Let's see. Let me get back to the question here. Thoughts on progressing penalties set by set. Today I upped weight from 60 to 62 and a half, and I was only able to get 5 reps on the second set. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what I talked about recently on dynamic double progression. You can progress each set as its own island. So you could do 82 and a half on the first set and drop to 80 and drop to 77.5 and drop whatever. You can use each set as its own island, have its own progression indicator. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you want to push every set for max safe reps, and that's what you enjoy on that exercise, and B, you don't mind investing the time to switch the weight. Does your wife have a whip there? My wife drives a Genesis G70. I got her that for Christmas last year, and she likes it. It's a little sportier car. Genesis, it's a nice car. It's nice and clean, and not a lot of people know about the Genesis. I think the G80 or G90 was a car of the year. I don't mind the G80. The problem with the G80 is it looks a lot like the G70, just a little bit bigger. The G90 is spectacular. It's like a mini limo. The back seats in a Genesis G90. I want to live in the back seat, man. That's more luxurious than my condominium. It probably costs more too, obviously. Raphael, speaking of cars, I wish CSR companies would make modern cars with the looks of old classic cars. I think, I had a 2014 BMW M5, and I just like the comfort of it. Right, it wasn't a fortune. I bought it for like 20,000 used, but it was really clean. Really clean car, and before that, I had a Honda Accord that was just a beater, right? And I just put so much money in it, I wanted to just try something different. Anyway, my car needed like $5,000 worth of work. It needed like a new windshield, new tires, new brakes, oil change, just everything, right? Tune up. And it was going to be like $5,000. And I didn't want to do that. So I started looking at buying a new car, doing a lot of research. For the first time in my life, I actually researched every possible car, every make, every model, trucks, cars. And what I found a lot is there's not a lot I really cared for the styling of. Now, that sounds a little bit superficial to a degree, but like with how many car and truck choices there are out there, you kind of want to have something you like the way it looks. It's not just functional. At least I did. But there weren't a lot of cars that I liked the looks of, and the ones I did, were well outside of my budget. John, when working out 3 times a week, do we still need? Yeah, you need to keep your protein intake normalized. You need it for dietary balance. If you're not getting in a lot of protein, then you're relying on carbs and fats, and a lot of that's probably going to end up being from highly palatable foods, junk foods, fast foods, that sort of thing. Plus, you're doing muscle repair and recovery 7 days a week. It's not like you only do muscle recovery and repair on the day you are working out. So 7 days a week. Eat consistently and eat moderately healthy. Tim, I plan to progress in weight till I can't hit 6 clean on the set, then use 2.5 kilos less for the subsequent sets. That sounds fine. As long as you have a plan that makes sense and you don't mind changing plates. Fat Chick in a Barn, good morning. Client of mine, please go check out her YouTube channel. She's doing great. And I'll say publicly, in a little bit of a weight stall the last 3 weeks. That's okay. Not going up in weight. And I just really want the best for you. And I'm not going to give out a lady's age, right? But, like when I'm dealing with clients that are not in their 20s, right? It's so satisfying to see somebody make changes, right? It is. So I'm your biggest fan. I want to just, I want to see you do some things that are spectacular. So just keep at it. Besides whey and creatine, what more do you recommend? Well, I take D3 and B12. They're common deficiencies, and being locked in this room all the time, I'm a little bit nervous about my D3. I like taking ashwagandha just for focus and stress and that sort of thing. I take a multi as a general backup. I take fish oil as a backup. I take melatonin before bed sometimes when I think about it. But, zinc and magnesium are in my multi. I mean, there's nothing you need, but I think B12 and D3 are worth consideration. No downside to fish oil. It's cheap. No downside really to a backup as a multivitamin as a backup. Transitioning from a cut to a bulk for the first time next week. Any tips or things I should keep in mind? Yeah, don't feel compelled to over analyze the transition. Some people think they need to do all this reverse dieting and take all this time to do all this nonsense, and it's not worth it. Start where you think maintenance level is. Where you think it's okay to guess. It's not like your weight's going to do anything crazy guessing at maintenance level. Eat at that level for like 5 days. Weigh in every day, first thing in the morning after you urinate. Watch what it does. And then from there, we start to make adjustments. We want to be slow to adjust. We don't want to make aggressive adjustments upwards. But we do want to move up slowly if the scale is not moving from there, until we see about 2 pounds a month of gain. And then from there, we can micro adjust if we need to. Thoughts on doing my study runs after posterior days? Yeah, that's fine. It's not always fun running after leg days, but I know one thing, you're not going to die. And it's probably not a bad idea for recovery. And plus, I would probably run after my leg days than the days after. That's just my personal preference. Big Bob V, how many days of soreness warrant lower? Nothing. We do not lower weight. We do not lower volume. We do not. If you're doing normalized training, we're not lowering things. This is one of the issues, with more beginners doing like 2 leg workouts a week. You're going to have a lot of that, so you're probably going to have to, if your legs are being sore for 4 days, that's not a bad thing, but you might have to try to figure out if you need to maybe train legs every 5 days. You might have to adjust your program a little bit, because you don't really want excessive leg soreness. I mean, are there any downsides to it? I wouldn't say really, but no one wants to enter a leg day already sore from their last leg day. So we probably want to change the program or move it around a little bit, so we're not sore going into our next leg day. Does that make sense? Big Tim. I'm not going to put a blanket condemnation on plant protein powders. I assume you're talking plant protein powders. Every one I've tasted, I do not like. I certainly have not tasted them all. If you are getting in a quality amount of your protein from animal sources, eggs and meat, seafood, then adding a scoop of plant protein isn't the worst thing in the world. I just would not rely on it for a substantial amount of my protein intake. I wouldn't rely on whey or casein for a substantial amount either, because we need to get in nutrients, not just protein. And animal-based meat organs provide a lot of amazing nutrients, and we can't really, it's hard to replace that nutrient value. If we fall a little bit short on our protein, tossing in a shake isn't the worst thing. But when we are looking at, filling in too much of the gaps with plant or animal-based protein, then we're in trouble. John, simply no time, my friend. I will. My wife's had competitions 3 or 4 weekends in a row, so as soon as I get time. Big B Bacon. I know you've stated in the past you dislike a 531. I'll caveat that and I'll explain why. It's not that I don't dislike the 531 cycle. There are aspects of the old program I didn't like individuals that were deloading every 4th day. Don't like that. Individuals training for muscle building that were doing too many low rep sets. Not a fan. So there are aspects of the plan I did not care for, but it's a very basic structure, and there's many ways to take it and make it work. So there are only aspects of it I did not care for. I know it's probably been modernized, evolved since my videos 8 years ago. I just don't follow it. I don't have any clue what it's like. Doing a cycle of 531 or doing a 3-week cycle, I have some of my clients do that. That's fine. It just needs to be wisely structured. But when you had a bunch of beginners taking every 4th week as a deload, and then the 3rd week was heavy work when their squat and deadlift form might not have been up to par, I don't always think it was the best choice for a lot of lifters. What's a good 10 rep max for flat iron? Brandon, I'm just going to say this politely. You ask me these questions like 10 times a week. And I keep referring you to the free video I have on this channel where I go over strength standards. So everything is contained. If anybody's wondering about strength standards, you can check out my video on strength standards on this channel. Do you have any tips when feeling hungry on bulks? If you're hungry on a bulk, that's kind of a red flag. What's your food quality? That's the first thing I'm going to look at. Are you eating a lot of junk? We need to be, if you're hungry on a bulk, you need to be eating more lean proteins that allow you more food volume. You probably need to be switching some of your carbs to a greater degree of like food volume, plant-based stuff, grapes and strawberries and broccoli and things that add watermelon, things that can add in calories or bulk without calories. So I'd have to see the bigger picture, Howie. But there's definitely probably some room in that case to to sort through some things and fix them. And look, Brendan, I'm not trying to be short, but I'm just being honest. Between Instagram and YouTube, I've probably received 200 strength standards comments from you. And, my best advice for you is to just digest that video. It has all the information you'll ever need. Thoughts on ankle strap attachments for low pulley? You can do like the kickbacks and the some adductor abductor work, some glute work. You might be able to pull off leg curls, degrees of leg extensions. It's going to depend on your setup and what each lift feels like. I think they're relatively low cost, so I don't think there's a lot of risk involved. So from that sense, it's not the worst thing in the world to do. It's not the worst investment. Is it safe for young lifters to do Zerch? I'm not a fan of Zercher lifts. I'm not a fan of Zerchers for hypertrophy. Somebody's going to get upset and say, they use them, they work great. Look, it's an exercise. It's not the worst thing in the world you can do. It's a hard exercise. I've tried it. I've messed around with it. I think I've Zerchered up to 450. I don't know. But do I feel there are some lifts I don't feel really have much of a place in the average strength or muscle building program, and Zerchers are one of them. If you want to use them, if you like them, go ahead and use them. I'm not telling you it can't be an impactful exercise. I'm just not a huge fan. And then you're talking about a young lifter that probably has not a solid degree of lower back strength. And I just don't think it's a quality exercise. Like the fact that we're talking about injury prevention tells me we're worried about lower back stress. The only way you can really mitigate that is to go lower weight. And I wouldn't even do higher reps because the lower back is going to give out first. So you'd have to do a lot of repetitions of lower rep, moderate weight work, like 135 by 5, 145 by 5, creeping up that way for multiple sets. Jonathan, you recently mentioned, I think, that your best, strongest years were between 46 and 50. Why was that? Well, my strongest years as a fatty, abusing food, were up to about 46, but I don't count those because if you started today and you're just going to endlessly eat, then your strength is going to go up. But that is not smart, and that is not healthy, and that is very limited. So did I see pretty impactful strength gains when I was overeating, abusing food? Yes. But, I don't count that. My strongest years were after I lost 100 pounds and I regained that strength. Why were these my biggest and strongest? Probably because I had the most, for the first time in my life, it was my absolute focus. My daughters were out of school. I was divorced. I lifted I worked in the industry. I had private gyms 10 feet from my office, 20 feet from my office at both Muscle and Strength and Tiger Fitness. I was around the biggest and strongest lifters in the world. I was in the right environment. I had all the free time in the world. I was single. And I was just able to really focus. That's the best way I can put it. Stan, your wife looks muscular and fit. Fiona is a hard worker. She gets up every morning and goes and does, she either lifts or she does a class, or she lifts and does a class. And then at night she does dance classes and cardio classes and all kinds of classes like fit, just cross training classes. She does Zumba class. I mean, she does so many classes each week. It's unbelievable. And she lifts. Is 2 minutes rest? No, definitely not too long. When we look at rest between sets, we look at am I mentally recovered from the last effort? Because doing a hard set, you might not be mentally recovered. Am I physically recovered? Does my body feel ready to go again? Am I recovered from a cardiovascular standpoint? Is my heart rate back down to a more reasonable range where I can attack this set and not be, struggling because of cardiovascular capacity? So there's no really too long unless it gets excessive. And then you're like, what am I doing? Trying to spend 3 hours in the gym doing 5 sets of barbell curls. So no, it's definitely not too long. Big, hairy, ugly dude. I try to eat 80-20 in terms of healthy and fun. That's good. Eat a protein bar. Yeah, I consider protein bars. I consider them to be fun foods. So lately, Speedway has been having these protein Pop-Tarts, right? So occasionally I'll have one. They're 180 calories. I know you can't see it. And 20 grams of protein. Not bad. But I consider that a fun food. If it's not animal-based or plant-based or, almost a direct derivative, it's a fun food. There's too many ingredients in this bad boy. There really are. Protein blend, erythritol, polydextrose, high oleoic sunflower oil, palm oil, water, collagen. That's a fun food, right? That's a manufactured food product. Aberrant. Physical therapist said people, no, here we go. I'll try to holster my rage. All right. People shouldn't lift weights twice their body weight due to increased likelihood of injury. Okay. Let's be super paranoid about the fragility of the body and never lift weights more than twice the weight of number one, the weight of the body is irrelevant. If you have a 300-pound person, all of a sudden they shouldn't lift weights more than 600 pounds. Okay, thank you for that update. Just generically awful advice. Increased risk of injury. The likelihood of injury, you're much greater being injured sitting on the couch, eating like crap, not exercising, or just having poor form in general. So if you have good form and you're taking care of yourself, this is an absolutely ridiculous statement. How much water do you recommend drinking a day? I don't really count. You don't want to be obsessed with over drinking. If you do, you better be getting in your electrolytes, or else you're going to risk some health issues and energy issues. But don't overthink this stuff, guys. The overemphasis in the fitness community on hydration is really a little bit borderline weird. Obviously, you don't want to be underhydrating. There are underhydrators that I run into, like drinking 30 ounces of water a day. Like, we need to nudge that a little bit, but don't go overboard, and definitely don't over obsess. Will the new app have the possibility to set strength? Yeah, absolutely. For those of you guys out of the loop, we're working on a training app, tracking app, for the gym, and we're going to entertain. That sounds like a feature that is a must-have. I really like the tricep push-down machine at Planet Fitness. Can this exercise be replicated some way with posture on dips? You mean the machine push-down? Assisted dips feel completely different for me. Are you talking about at home? Because I have a machine I got from Titan Fitness that is just like this, and I could really, really load up the weight. I like the push-down machine as well, but they don't have them everywhere, unfortunately. I don't really think you can replicate them on dips all too well. It's just not the same feel for me on the triceps. I get to focus more on the triceps when I'm seated. When, why, and how to use momentum in a grappling strength training program. I don't know what a grappling strength training program is. Strength training is strength training. So I'm going to set the table like that. You're going to be base building your strength regardless of your sport. You don't want to use English or cheat rows that provide no value. What you want, whether you're training for MMA, strength, boxing, whatever, is you want a strength base. And cheat reps add no value to that. You want a strength base using just conventional strength training. I run Doug Hepburn's method, but I have problems doing pump phase. I need to cut it. That's fine. Don't worry about the percentages. Whatever weight you start with on the pump, maybe push the last set for max safe reps and then use that as a progression indicator. What I mean is, let's say on squats, or whatever you're doing on the 3x6, let's just say a 3x6 on squats, you can't do 225 or 200. You have to do 150. That's fine. Do 150 for 6, 150 for 6, and then 150 for max safe reps on the last set. And when you hit like 6 or 7, then add weight. Just use it. Just have some form of progression indicator. Do you think an online community like Team Massive Iron attributes to mental health? Absolutely. Now, Massive Iron isn't magic. No community is magic, but from my understanding, community plays a huge role. Not huge, I'm not saying only role. I'm not saying the most prominent role in mental health. Feeling a part of something, feeling a part of a community. When we feel detached from a community, we kind of feel detached from one of our major purposes. So being a part of a community or a bigger social network definitely provides mental health benefits. To what degree, that's up to the individual. Some people don't want it. Some people don't like it. Some people don't like the vehicle of the community. That's fine. But it does provide opportunity for mental health benefits. Endurance athletes frequently die of heart attacks middle-aged. And I'll say a lot of them don't. A lot of them, endurance runners are elder, are older, not elderly. Long hours of cardio also impact telomere length, which impacts longevity in a positive manner. So keep that in mind as well. Pros and cons of using a barbell with less whip for deads. I don't really find there to be pros. Whip is just going to allow a little bit of a bonus stretchability for you to stay tight initially in the first couple of inches. It's going to be a little bit less harsh on the joints and lower back. Now, I trained without a deadlift barbell for a long, long time. I simply prefer it on pendlay rows and deadlifts because it's just a little bit easier on the back. The cons, it's going to cost you money. I'm beginner. What is an ideal workout split for me? Well, probably one of the best places to start is with an upper posterior, A-B split. So you have upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B. You can run these 3 or 4 days a week. You can insert rest days as needed. This is one of the best ways to train, to keep a flexible schedule, not too much volume, and it allows, a good combination of frequency and recovery. If you don't know what this is, hit me up on Instagram. I've been the barman. I'll guide you. Sian, it's 8:00 in Norway. Massive Iron Live and a beer. That's the way to do it, my friend. When, wine, how? Oh, we already covered this one. Denver Blues, as a noob, how can I go from likely to amazing? It's hard to do amazing a year, Mass. You just, we need to be perfect. That's a crapshoot. That's a miracle. No life events, no sicknesses, no minor injuries. That's an act of God when you have a perfect year, man. Perfect years I don't think they exist. Big John, were you ever into gaming? To degrees. I mean, when I was, you guys can laugh all you want, but when I was a teen, I had an Atari, and I would play Saturday night, Friday night. After you'd come in for the day, you'd play Missile Command or Pac-Man or Frogger or whatever, all those Space Invaders. And I got really into an online game called Asheron's Call. It was one of the first MMORPGs. It was like a EverQuest ripoff. I got into that around 99, played that till 2004. And I get really bad motion sickness from gaming, from a lot of games. So I can play 2D, where you can look down. I could play Shadow of the Colossus. I like that a lot. God of War games, I like that a lot. Games like that, 2Ds. But yeah, I played my share of them. Recently, Rocket League was my obsession for about a year. I loved Rocket League, and then I realized I got to Plat, and I'm never going to get past Plat. I just suck and can't compete with the kids. Thoughts on ATG squats, knees over toes training for raw strength? I don't like ATG is arbitrary. Ask the grass. What happens? We want to focus on a controlled squat and sinking to a natural depth. Overly forcing depth generally is going to increase looseness in the hole, lower back rounding, and stress on the lower back. And it's just, we want to have a natural squat. We don't want to have arbitrary standards. Bluegill Greg. I went for a 1.4 mile walk. It sounds like it would tear up your forearms. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I mean that in a positive way, give you some pretty good forearm stress as well. What's your favorite era of bodybuilding? The Reeves, and there are guys I appreciate from the Reeves and Park and, Marvin Eder era. But I appreciate them. I don't overly connect with them. My era was, the late 70s, early to mid 80s. Back when a lot of the magazines and books had a lot of black and white photos of Lou and Platts and Mike Menser and the Barbarian Brothers. When working out felt like it was in a dirty fucking gym filled with rust and chalk and sweat and stink and, effort and a focus on the basics. Crush. That's the world massive iron is in. For better or for worse. That's the foundation. It's not like we don't go other places, but that's the foundation I grew up in. The hard work, the grinding it out in a corner of a rusty, chalky, stinky fucking bench that's never been wiped down in 22 years. And it's so cake full of sweat and ass cookies that it's actually anabolic. You know what I'm saying? That to me is the era. Let me go wipe down. Look, I do that. You think I don't? Man, I am sweating like a sow yesterday. I get off after doing dumbbell bench, and there's like a pool of sweat and back hair and butt funk. Right. I wipe it down to be courteous. But back in the day, man, it was like that had a character. That was anabolic. That's how I injured my low back dumbbell rows. Yeah, dumbbell rows can be a big one. You got to really learn to you got to really find the proper setup for dumbbell rows and then really learn how to brace. Big Bad John. For a beginner, how to know what weight to start with. You got to start very, very moderate and give yourself, don't rush yourself. I mean, there's no general weight to start with on any lift, but you got to go super moderate. And you want to get past like the first month of brutal soreness. Just go moderate, get your reps in. Let there be some neuromuscular adaptation when it comes to the lifts. Then from there you can start to creep up in weight. But that first month you're getting in some neuromuscular adaptation. Your body's getting used to the mechanics of the lift. You're trying to figure out form. And then we slowly ramp up from there to the point where we start to run, where we're confident in our form. We're confident. We know how long we're going to be sore, how long recovery is going to take, so on and so forth. What do you think about going through a full range of motion every lift? When should we, I don't do any, excuse me, 2 hours of talking. Let me get a drink. I don't do anything half range of motion. There's no value in it. There could be. You could start out doing a side laterals and then advancing to like partials, where the weight's super heavy. I mean, there's always a way to break the rule that makes sense. But for meat and potatoes, we do full range of motion. That's your base building. For forearm work, should you balance top and bottom muscles? So wrist curls. If you're going to do forearm work, it's probably a good idea to do 2 types of exercises. You have the grippers, which really can hit the forearm and the grip. You have the wrist roller, which I really like for this beefy part of the forearm here. And then you have other exercises like for the back of the forearm, like extensions or wrist curls. When you're doing a wrist roller, you're going to hit that meaty part of the forearm. Like in doing an extension or a wrist curl, you're going to hit the top or smaller part of the forearm. I don't know the muscle groups of the forearm, so feel free to hate me. Yes, after 38 years, I have no idea what the name of the muscle groups of the forearms are. Wow. That's where I'm at. Forearm work, just do superset on squats. I've been struggling with the concept of work capacity. No. Work capacity and lifting comes from lifting. It develops naturally. We can't develop work capacity in lifting by running treadmill. It doesn't work like that. Just relax. If you struggle to get in 18 hard sets during your workout, well, I do about 18 hard sets, and I'm ready to go after 12. That's not a work capacity issue. That's a kick yourself in the balls issue, right? You're working really hard. I still do it, but like if you struggle to get like past the first 6 to 9 sets, hard sets of a workout, then you probably have a work capacity issue. And that's going to be worked out by pushing when you don't want to push safely. We're not talking about recklessly, but you don't quit on the third exercise just because you feel torched after the first 2. Does that make sense? How does the caffeine, fizzy water, and purple Mio compare to it? Does it sucks, man. It sucks. I tried this Mio flavoring and fizzy water and a caffeine pill, and it just doesn't compare. It does not. It's nasty. I'm trying something different. I got to try something different. Should I be digging in the trenches? Yes. Don't worry about work capacity. If you can't get through 6 to 9 sets, you just want to keep digging. You just don't want to quit. Any adjustable dumbbell recommendations? You guys drop your adjustable dumbbell recommendations in. There's a lot of good ones, but I'm a fan. If you're going to get adjustables at home, you probably want to get adjustables that go up to 100, so you're able to cap out on dumbbell rows and maybe, or at least have a real reasonable weight on dumbbell rows, and to be able to move some good weight on dumbbell bench. For mini cut, what would you consider unreasonably low calories per day? Well, I have some guys that need to do 14, 15, 1600 that are super sedentary, and that sounds low to some of you, but that's reality for some of these super sedentary guys that are a little bit on the less tall side, right? It depends on the individual. Like you can have lower days where you take it on to 9, 10, 11, 12. I wouldn't do that every single day. Usually I don't like to go below 1500. Why rest pause? Well, in the long run, neither is going to really be better. You don't need to do rest pause, but I believe rest pause can provide some benefits. You're going to end up doing about the same number of reps roughly, but the average rep quality on rest pause is going to increase because on a regular set, about the first half of the set, it's not that super taxing. It can feel challenging, but not super taxing. But when you don't allow a muscle to rest and you jump back in and knock out 2, 3, 4, 5 more reps, those feel challenging like the last 2, 3, 4, 5 reps of the previous set. So you increase the overall rep quality. How do you handle your supplements when going on a vacation? What's a vacation? What's a vacation? I've been begging my wife to go on a vacation. I want to go out west again. What's a vacation? I don't know. When I go to Scotland or Australia, I don't take anything. Don't do it. I'm going on an airplane. I'm just taking undies. I don't want them to go through anything. If I'm crossing the border to Canada, I don't want them going through anything. I just don't. That's just me. Aber, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Has construction started on the new house? Yeah, we got a roof in, a roof put in. So let's see if I can pull it up for you guys. See if I can pull it up. It's supposed to be done November, but it's up here somewhere. Hold on. I'm trying to detach this so I can show you where are we at? Share screen. There. That's it. That's it. Wilmington, Ohio. They're giving us no property taxes for 5 years. We worked our ass off to be able to afford it. It's not a mansion. It's about 2,000 square feet. We decided to get the basement furnished so I can have a gym. But it'll be nice for once in my life to have something new, right? Have you ever posted a video and deleted it after? Well, sometimes I make a mistake. Yesterday, I recorded a video, edited it, and then uploaded it, but uploaded the wrong file with the right thumbnail. So basically, I republished the same video over that I had from like a year ago. So I had to delete that right away. There's been a couple videos I did back in the day when I got drawn into feuds where I just don't want them up on my channel anymore. You know, it's a long road of 12 years. You know, a feud that, you know, if I made a video of a feud 8 years ago, or just a stupid video I made 8 years ago about somebody, and you change and there's just no value. So I've taken a couple down, but once or twice, I mean, everybody does this. Like once or twice in the 2,000 videos I made a video about a topic where I wasn't, where I didn't have the full story. Somebody passed along a story about something, you know, so-and-so, such and such, said German volume training, such and such, whatever it was, you know. And I think over the years I've done a couple reaction videos like that where I realized that's not exactly what they said. And you learn the hard way, like you got to watch the context of what people say. And I've made a video or two over the years where I've reacted before actually watching the whole context of a video. So, yeah, I mean, we all occasionally have bad days. You learn from them. Social media needs more folks like Big Hair Ugly Dude. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I do not think you should shy away. Go. Thank you. I appreciate that. How to grow big forearms. They're going to grow naturally, my friend. All the barbell and dumbbell work you do, all the gripping, your forearms are going to grow pretty naturally. Like my forearms are huge. I never do direct work. You don't really need to. Your neck's going to get big. Your forearms are going to get big. You know, just from all, like, you're always working your grip in the gym. Like every day. Every day is grip day, right? To a degree. And the forearms just grow. A lot of guys want to add in forearm work, but, you know, if you want, you go ahead, do it. But understand, you're going to need to work that forearm work hard for like 5 years for it to pay off, not 5 weeks. All right, guys, tons of questions. I'm going to keep rolling. Hey, boss, 2 buzzwords I hear about constantly in the fitness and nutrition world are bloating and inflammation. Look, I get bloating, and you can get exercise-induced inflammation. You can get inflammation from food if you overeat junk, alcohol, whatever. You can get water weight inflammation. And you can get bloating from food choices or whatever. The cures are usually to clean up your damn diet and stop drinking alcohol. That's really, you know, outside of the fringe cases, that's really the cure for nearly every case. Parsai hit 225 by 12 on the bench. Nice work. That's extremely rare air. Like my ultimate is 225 by 20. But once you get to 225 and you can do like 3 sets of 10, you're really, really doing good. So you're in a good spot. There are still functional movement guys out there who hate Smith machines. Well, I used to be a hate Smith machine guy around 2007, 2010. But I more hated guys that were I think I more hated guys that were avoiding hard work and wanted to use the Smith instead of. There's a place for it. I think we got to be smart about the Smith and be patient and get the right setup, and it can be used properly. I'm actually thinking about getting a Smith in my home gym just so I can play around with it in private and get used to it again. Not again. I used a Smith for 1 year. A Smith bench for 1 year. There was a gym I was at around 98, 99 that had one bench station and a ton of swinging dicks. So every time you walked in, there were swinging dicks everywhere all over the bench station. Those of you who don't know what swinging dicks means, it means men, okay, that were benching. So the bench station was always taken. So for that year, I just said, forget about it. I'm just going to do a Smith bench. And I used that for about a year. I was fine on it. The Smith overhead press hurt my shoulders. I didn't care for that. But that's the beauty of exercises. You can try it. If it doesn't work, move on. How do you rate the Meadows row? I think it's a decent lift. Nothing against it. A lot of my clients in the home gym use it. Definitely, I would say a top tier lift. I wish more commercial gyms had T-bar stations, or like the landmine station, I should say. John, I'm thinking a lot about if I do things right. What do I need to have in place so I can John, you just need to digest everything I put out on this channel. You need to have a program you like that's sustainable. You need to have a reasonable exercise selection, reasonable volume per body part per week. You need to have some form of progressive overload approach. You need to be trying to get the most you can out of every set safely. You need to be nailing your nutrition and having a focus on form. If you do that, you can pretty much trust the process and cruise. Let me get a drink. All right. I heard a saying before, you put a bunch of different strict diet people in the same room, you would stare at an empty plate. Yes, that's true. My philosophy, and you guys can kick me in the stones if you want, is focus 80% at least of your diet on animal-based and plant-based foods. Single ingredient foods like beef, ingredients beef, broccoli, ingredients broccoli, right? And you'll get a wide variety of nutrients. You don't have to overcomplicate it. And you're in a good place. If you want to eat a little bit of nuts, eat some nuts and seeds. If you want to eat a little bit of cheese, eat a little bit of cheese, right? Nut, ingredient, nut. Mike T, you always put out quality information. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Trying my best. On the question about weight increase, I meant how much pounds on the big lifts. Always seek the minimal 5 pounds. Always seek the minimal. Going faster will not expedite progress. It usually just creates more frustration. What have been your biggest problem areas in terms of aches and pains? I don't really have any. I had elbow tendonitis really bad for a couple of years till I figured out to use grip support. That would really be the only one. And when I was squatting heavy very frequently, I would pick up a lot of hamstrings and adductor strains. But I probably should have been working adductors, abductors, and a little bit, just to kind of round out my training a little bit. Are you stressed about the new house at all? Not in the least. We have a company that we trust. We did some good research and just going really well. So not in the least. What are the best cues for lateral raises? Let me pull up a video. Hold on, guys. I got a video on my channel. It's a short, but I want to pull it up and make sure I get the right one. I think if you search lateral, just lateral, and hold on. I'm going to copy video URL, paste to Ruski, and let me just pull this off and shrink it down a little bit. Hold on. Not trying to be a pain. I'm just trying to shorten this so you guys can see it and fit it on the screen. All right. Present. Share screeny. How to perform the side laterals. All right, here we are. Let's see if it has sound. Why is it muted? It's a short called How to Perform the Side Lateral Raise. So straight over their feet, and they keep their arms really straight and stiff, and they almost flap like a bird. You don't want to do that. I try to lean my torso forward just a little bit. I have a very natural stance, sometimes a very narrow stance. I find a more narrow stance than my deadlift stance actually feels better to me. And from there, you want to use your shoulders and elbows at the same time to drive the weight up. Shoulders and elbows driving the weight up. And you can have your arms slightly bent and natural. But when you lift it, you don't want to lift it directly out to the side. You want to lift the dumbbells to the side, but to a little bit in front of the shoulders. So, turning off the sound, I lean forward. I brace. You can see my visible breath and brace, and then drive. All right. I lean forward. I brace and then drive. That slight dip isn't a dip in English. It's bracing and then driving. Does that make sense? All right. Thoughts on HMB and creatine. Creatine is, hard to. Creatine has all the research in the world. There's not many reasons not to take creatine. Just provides a lot of, potential 1% benefits, right? HMB, been in this industry a long time. HMB has been around a long time, and there's just not a lot of quality research that supports it, I believe. I would go to examine.com and search HMB for the latest research and check their opinion. Always check the opinion of examine.com because you're going to get the best possible, opinion when it comes to the latest opinion when it comes to any of these ingredients. Nicholas, is there any other YouTuber channel that does a live Q&A weekly? I don't know. I don't really pay a lot of attention. I've seen some of them do some live Q&As. I don't really know. Mine's been going on. I think it's only been 2 years, but I think it's actually been 4 years. It might even be 5 years. I don't even recall. Just been going on forever. I mean, we've been out of the pandemic for forever? And I think I started way early on. This could be year 4 or 5. I'm sore all the time. You need more baths and candlelight and intimate moments soaking in the tub. I'm going to sleep sore all the time. I even have sore dreams. Well, man, I'm telling you what, you're earning it. And that's good. It means you're on the right track. I threw my vegan protein powder straight in the trash. Yeah, I just don't like it, man. Like the pea protein tastes like grit. just not a big fan of it at all. Do you think to do 1 rep max first and then we don't do 1 rep maxes? There's no good reason to do a 1 rep max. None. If you're gonna do a 1 rep max, you want to peek into it. And that's a couple time a year thing, but you do it on a daily basis. You just need to hear a word stop. Joseph, I was 5'10", 20%, and 188. And now, according to them, 18% and 170 tree. I'm stronger, but doesn't those numbers show I lost? Yeah, you didn't lose lean body mass. You're probably a higher body fat percentage at 188 than you thought. That's the reality. I mean, 173 and a half and 18% sounds reasonable. But you were probably more like 24, 25, maybe even 26 at 188. That would be the more likely guess on my part. You definitely didn't lose lean body mass. This summer I drank 11 liters of water a day. My brain can't even wrap around that. Have you your massive bulking book? It was super helpful. I'm glad to hear that. If any of you guys don't know what that is, you can go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, and you can where is it? Just search bulk, superlivingtoday.com. Where are we at? What do you think about the quote, pressure is a privilege, like Chris Bumstead used recently? In the right context, I think that makes sense. I guess it just needs to be in the right context. Sometimes someone will say something and it fits at the moment for that situation. So in the right context, I think, yeah. Do you aspire to bench 405? I hit it. I hit it in the gym. At my peak, right, getting close to age 50. And my best on the platform was like 392. But I did hit it in the gym. I don't know if I got video. I got videos of everything back then, but it's probably floating out there somewhere. If so or not, what's the best strategy to get there? I'm 265, but my best was, I got a lot of different things to try when it comes to bench. Try some of my bench press programs. I have a bench press course on superlivingtoday.com, but man, I'd love to work with you. I mean, if you're interested in coaching, consider it at some point. When you're looking at being 265, we got a couple things to determine. Your weight's kind of up there in that heart attack zone. Not being critical, but you have to determine whether you want to stay up there, whether you want to lean down and build back up. But it's a grind from there, and it's probably going to require, a reasonable focus on food, at least a more consistent approach to food. So a lot of variables. As a taller individual, can we do dumbbell rows? You can, but that rear foot's got to be kind of pushed back. So you want to have your hips probably below your shoulders a little bit. Does that make sense? Having your hips slightly your shoulders below your shoulders is going to be of a benefit. In a bro split on arm day, how do you feel about chin-ups and dips to go along with arm isolation work? Yeah, absolutely. I have no issues with it at all. As long as you have like a rest day afterwards, of your arm day or junk day, you're absolutely fine. And Alex said, do them after your isolation work. Not true. That's just Alex's opinion. If I'm going to do chin-ups and dips on a junk day or an arm day, I'd do them first. I would always do the big exercises first, and then you get some stress and fatigue on your biceps and triceps. So I would not do them after isolations. That's just Alex's opinion. Daniel, what are your thoughts on stretching before or after a workout? Not a fan. I mean, there is some minor research that says that stretching before can actually make you weaker, but I guess that would depend on what type of stretching you're doing and how extreme it was. But if you have a slightly stiff or sore area and you feel that it provides minor benefit, go for it. I used to be in the stretching camp. It doesn't provide any benefit for me. I've done it for a long period of time. I've done it without for a long period of time. I don't see any benefit. The downside is it eats time. If it provides benefit from you, go for it. I like the basic spin lock dumbbells. I built my collection over time. Yeah, I think those are easiest to dip into, like spin lock handles, and then buying plates when you can. You can kind of get a weird, you can mix and match your plates on the spin locks, standard plates, and maybe find some deals here and there if you're okay with them looking ganky, right? Is it okay to let the thumb side of a bell be a little heavier than the pinky side? Quicker changes. The thumb side be a little heavier than the. Not sure what you mean. Like on a dumbbell? I would really balance them out. My brain just doesn't like imbalance. Chris, house is looking good. Thanks, Chris. My forearms got silly from calisthenics. I can believe it. Just all the gripping and all the stressing from exercise in those types of exercises in general are going to put a lot of stress on the forearms. Lifting, calisthenics, you name it. I've really been thinking about getting VersaGrips. Get VersaGrip Pros because they have a longer flap. Sometimes on some exercises, the flap isn't quite long enough. So always get the Pros. Don't worry about grip strength. Don't. There are some scientific indication that back strength is tied to grip strength. So the stronger you get your back in general, the stronger your grip's going to be naturally. Like it's some kind of a neuromuscular connection. So don't worry about your grip strength, man. Worry about your back strength. You're going to limit your back strength without VersaGrips. If you're worried about your grip strength, do it after that, but get a strong ass back. You know what I'm saying? What do you plan on doing after ending the stream today? Working, client work till I'm done, probably about 7 o'clock. How's your diet now? I eat 3 times a day, usually 800, and 10 to 1200, 500, 500, or 800, 1000 to 1200. No, wait. 400, 1000 to 1200. So 1800 to 2000 calories, or 500, 1000 to 1200. So it fluctuates, usually 1800 to 2200 calories. I usually eat 3 times a day. Was going to have a rest day, but the live inspires me. I'm glad to hear it. Hit the junk work and have a good workout, man. Back in the day, I hammered out 2 sets of 10. Yeah, that's very good. In coaching, it's more rare than you would think to see. It was more rare than you would think to see guys get to a 405-pound deadlift, so you're doing good. Is there a way to bulk without tracking daily? Well, you would have to have a very consistent meal plan. Like if you didn't know your calories, you'd have to have a very consistent meal plan and watching the scale. And if the scale wasn't moving, you'd have to add in a small bit to that meal plan daily. So you can do it. Just requires a weird degree of attention. My wife and I are trying to lift 5 to 6 days a week. But we have 2 little babies in the house. Well, full body can take a long time. I would consider an upper posterior upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, where you're rotating between those 4 workouts 3 days a week. It'll be a little bit shorter on time. You'll still get the same benefits, and you'll probably enjoy it a little bit more. And if you're not sure about that, hit me up on Instagram, and I'll point you in the right direction. Bacon. Bacon. I know we have talked about the cult of barbell. Is there anything wrong with doing only barbell? Well, we have to distinguish between what we prefer and what's probably the best way of training. We have to be reasonable, rational human beings. Just because you like a barbell doesn't mean it's the most optimal way of training. And I hate to use the term optimal, but no. Dumbbell exercises and machine exercises and bodyweight exercise have their place. You don't have to overwork them. But there's no way I ever would push a barbell only workout. Got to get your dumbbell workout in, man. Why close doors? Leave the doors open for options. Every coach has a coach. Who is yours? Well, not every coach. That's not exactly true. When I got into running, I had one of the best running coaches in the world. If you've ever seen the Barkley marathons, Gary Robbins, he was a man that nearly finished it twice. I went to the best of the best. Lifting, powerlifting. I spent a year in the gym of Donnie Thompson, working directly with Donnie, who was the strongest power lifter in the world at that time, ever. So muscle powerlifting, I've spent time with the then strongest man in the world, a power lifter in the world. Running, I've spent time with arguably one of the best runners in the world. That's not patting myself on the back, but, I've spent time in that world. In my career, I've had the unique situation, unique opportunity to spend time with everybody, to learn from everybody, from the Hodge twins to Ronnie Coleman, just training every day with somebody different. So I've had a very unique situation. Can you put when the storm hits, we fight back on a flag? Yeah, man, DM me on Instagram or email me, and I got to think of an idea. When the right idea hits, I'll put it together. My wife tried to fly with a stick of butter wrapped in aluminum foil. Every alarm went off. It looked like a stick of dynamite in the X-ray machine. My wife tried to fly or microwave. I don't know what's going on here, Raphael. I'm confused. Mike M., your 4 pillars of muscle building video was very helpful. I still revisit it periodically. Thanks. I'm going to actually go back and look at it, because sometimes you'll just randomly make a video. And after you've made like 2,500, obviously some tend to be gems and some tend to be, some of them tend to contain better information than you expected. You just communicate better, or the structure is better, or the information just overall better quality. My dad gave me 145 pounds of dumbbell plates when he turned 88. God bless him, man. That's a lot of weight. Glad your dad was doing it. Do you think it's smart to invest in a lever belt? I don't know. I like single prong 10 millimeter. If the lever belt's adjustable, I would try one before I buy one, though. Honestly, I'd see if somebody has one where you could try one. There are only Ultra Grip Climax here to buy. I'm sure they're reasonable. I would definitely check them out. Thanks for your live stream. Thank you. I like your bloated program video. Personally, I use compound exercises for larger muscles. Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't expect that video to be so well received. You just never know when you talk about a topic, but it was very well received, so I'm thankful for that. Can you add a table of contents in the massive compilation PDF? I need to think about it, and I need to add some things in. So if I update that, or when I update that, anybody that already has it will get the update for free. Just know that. Last call for questions, guys. We have 4 left. On a bulk one, not sure if you are over under daily calorie target because of eating out. Would you rather go over or over? Rather go over. You don't have to go way over, but I'd rather go a little bit over. We want that muscle mass, right? Thank you, Steve. No question today, but thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it, Blaine. Thank you for staying on nearly 3 hours. Thank you, guys. When all the questions dropped before 10:50, I thought I was going to have like 5 questions a day. So I appreciate you guys hanging tough. Bacon, enjoyed today's stream. Thanks for hanging in. Will you ever do a compilation or collaboration with Mike? Here's the thing. I would probably talk with any of these big names. Mike, Dave Tate. I think in the big universe that is fitness, I am like a moon around Uranus. I don't know. We have to have some bad jokes. In the big solar system, right? You have the sun, which are the big hitters, and the planets. And then you have a moon around Uranus. I think I'm the moon around Uranus. It's there. Not a lot of people know it's there, but it's doing a good job. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please tune in next week at 11. And I love each and every one of you. Come follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. We're out of here, sexy people.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.